Hey, listen, can you treat an AeroPress like a French press, but cut the cleanup time in half? You bet. Find out how here on Bean Basics. Oh, hey there. Welcome to Bean Basics with Bob and Michelle. Welcome to sunny Saugatuck, and welcome to the Obis Labs. Hey, listen, today we're talking about another immersion method using the AeroPress. And immersion is the same thing when we use a French press. And you've seen us talk a lot about the French press. There's this French press, there's the Frank Green, and another immersion method we've talked about is with the Clever. Today we're talking about the AeroPress and using it as an immersion method too. And keeping in mind that an immersion method is when you put grounds in water and the grounds just sort of steep in water, versus a percolation method where water goes through the grounds, you know, like drip coffee or espresso or something like that. Now, a lot of folks think the AeroPress is really a combination of both, right? That it's both an immersion method and a percolation method because we do push through the water in the end, much like we do with the French press. By the way, you've seen us use the AeroPress before when we did a Cheaters espresso episode, and we'll put that link up there too. But let's go ahead and get started. But before I do, I want to just mention that there's two things that this is a real advantage on over the French press. One is on cleanup. French press is one of the messiest methods, immersion methods, to clean up in the end. The AeroPress is really easy. But the thing that I love the most is this is very portable. It's not made of glass, it's not bulky, it's very lightweight. You can throw it in your suitcase and you can take it anywhere. All right, so let's get started here. So one of the first things we got to do and look at and understand is this is the plunger, this is the brew chamber, and this is where the filter basket goes. And AeroPress gives you some really nice little filters that you can put in and lock in place and so on. But one of the problems I find with the paper filter is that in the end, if you, in this immersion method where we let the water steep for a long time, the water starts dripping through on the paper filter, right? So I have another little trick for us here. And so we're going to take this paper filter away. And I have another product here made by Fellow called the Prismo, right? And the Prismo looks just like this. It's very similar in the end to the AeroPress piece, a little bit deeper, but you can see it has a metal filter instead. And on the other side is a spout that really controls whether the water can come out or not. It takes a little bit of pressure to get this out. Now, Fellows is also the same company that makes the brewer, the Stag brewer that we love. It's always a high quality product. And I'm just going to clip this metal filter into place. All right. So we're sort of ready to go here. We need a glass. You know, one of the disadvantages of the AeroPress, I will mention, because you'll see I'm using a relatively short glass here, I'm going to go ahead and take the cork off, is it doesn't hold very much, right? This holds a lot. The Frank Green held a lot. The Clever holds a lot. This only holds about 250 mils, right? It's about 8 ounces. It's just 1 cup of coffee on the one hand. On the other, they're really easy to make back to back to back. All right. Keep in mind that whenever we brew anything or express anything or immerse anything, we want to preheat it. And with the AeroPress, it's easy. We just throw a little bit of water in. And we're going to also preheat our glass. And we're just going to push that hot water right through. And you can see it doesn't want to come out until I give it the old plungeroo. So we have our glass ready. We have our brew chamber ready. And we need to turn on our timer and go ahead and weigh everything, right? So we do like starting points on amounts of coffee to use, and in this case, it's 250 mils. If we were doing 500 mils, we would use 30 grams. So we can just cut that 30 grams right in half, and that's 15 grams. So we need to get 15 grams of coffee in the chamber. Let me go ahead and tear out the weight of the glass and the AeroPress. Today we're using BIGGBY Best, and we're using BIGGBY Best pre-ground. You know, I love to use fresh ground coffee, but pre-ground is very forgiving in an immersion method. And of course, you know, we love our BIGGBY Best because it is or some components of it are, about 30% of it is one of our farm direct relationships. This one happens to be out of Nicaragua. Our farm direct relationships look like this. We eliminate the brokers from the cycle. We get more money to the farmers, and then we sort of make sure with boots on ground that the farmer's treating their people right, that the farmer is treating the planet right, and that they have some community objective. This farm is owned by Carlos and Leanna Ferry, and if you want to know more about that, go ahead and go to One Big Island in Space with 2Gs.com. There's a great story on Carlos and Leanna, and you'll want to see that. All right, let's go ahead and get in our 15 grams. Let's see if I can get it in one fell swoop.
14.8.
That's pretty good, right?
15.1.
That's close enough, I would say, right there. Now, you know, whenever you get coffee in to a chamber, you want to go ahead and level it out right away. Obviously, the easiest way to level it out is give it a good shake. And let's see, we do want to give it a little bit of a bloom. It's not necessary, and maybe this is a little fussy, but when giving a bloom, we let some of the gases get out, right? And to do a bloom, what we would do is add twice as many grams of water than coffee at this point. So we're going to put 30 grams of water into these 15 grams of grounds. So you'll tell me when I hit 30.
27.
Right? We're already there. All right. So AeroPress gives you this nice little stir that gets right in here. We're going to give it a little stir. Not going to spend a lot of time here. We do want to hit our timer, and I probably should have hit it right from the start because we want it to bloom for about 30 seconds, but we'll pretend that this has been blooming a little bit longer already. But at this point, once we've let it bloom, we're going to race to get the rest of our water in pretty aggressively, and we're going to take, as I mentioned before, this up to 250 mils. And it won't take long to get there. It'll be a pretty full cup. This isn't manufacturer's recommendation. This is the Bob Fish recommendation for for using this as an immersion method. 239. I feel like I'm almost there. Boop. Good enough, right?
50.5.
Nice, nice, nice. So how much time do we have on?
47.
Yeah, right. So we're doing just about right. You know, one thing I want to let you know about One Big Island in Space and what it's all about, what we're all about is one planet, one people, one community, right? And we want to make sure that you know about our farm direct coffees where we have special relationships with people, and we do document all of that. We'll be expanding the number of farm direct relationships we have as time goes by, and we hope you follow that. All right. So hopefully we're getting something, to about a minute and a half. And at a minute and a half, what I'd like to do is give this a stir. Now, I no longer need to weigh anything out. I do want to keep an eye on the timer, that's for sure. So at about a minute and a half.
You're there.
Am I there?
Yeah.
Very good. No reason to panic. I just want to give this a little bit of a stir. And the reason I like to do this, give it a stir, when doing an immersion method is it sort of signals to the grounds to start floating to the bottom, right? So when we put water on top of coffee, what happens immediately is all the coffee rises up to the top, and there's this thick layer of coffee up here. And what I like is to give it a stir so that the grounds begin to sift to the bottom and get off the top altogether.
You're coming up on 2.5 minutes.
Okay, don't panic. I might have you get in a little closer because I'm going to give this a little bit of a skimming. And you can see there's a sort of a layer of light brown foam. Now, in coffee parlance, that's called scum, which has never been an attractive name. I wish somebody would rename that. But it's called scum for a reason because it doesn't really contribute a lot to flavor. Now, if you didn't have all these tools with you, let's say you were traveling and you didn't have all these spoons and jars and stuff like that, it wouldn't be the end of the world if you left the scum there, but it does enhance and make the flavor just taste a little bit better. And I assume we're at about 3 minutes.
307.
Okay, good. So we can do the drawdown at this point. We're going to put our plunger on, and not with a lot of pressure, just light pressure, begin to push the coffee through. And you can see it goes through pretty easily, pretty lightly. There's the last bit. It sort of coughs towards the end. Now I put this in a glass container, so it's going to be super hot. So I'm going to put my cork back on, and I'll give this a little bit of a taste test. You know, I love the immersion method because it's so forgiving. You know, you could have your grind wrong, you could have the wrong amount of coffee, and it would still come out in this very sort of rounded flavor profile way. It's another thing, it's another reason why I love the immersion method so much. Yeah, again, a perfect cup of coffee. I really love the immersion method. I told you that cleanup was easy, and it's true. We'll just take the top of the Prismo off, and, oh, let me grab a bowl over here. Don't you move, I'll move. And it's just really easy to eject the grounds. All done, and then you just rinse that off, and you're all done. All right. Maybe you liked what we talked about today. If you did, hit the like button. If you have a question or you want to disagree, put a comment down below. We would love that. But we're out of time, but I do want to leave you with this one note, and that is, when you love the world will love you right back.
Hey, thanks for joining us. For future episodes, click the subscribe button. Bean Basics is brought to you by One Big Island in Space.com with 2 G's.